In your new study, Meeting Member Promises, you focus very much on the ultimate objective of trustees, which is to pay benefits. Why have you focused on that?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, it might sound a little bit simple or perhaps even obvious, but our experience over the years at Reddington has been when there's real alignment behind what a scheme's trying to achieve, that's hugely powerful in terms of making decision-making a lot easier. And when it really comes down to it, the ultimate objective that a defined benefit pension scheme is trying to achieve today is meeting members' benefits. And so in this piece of research, what we've tried to do is develop some analysis which tries to measure and address that particular objective directly, rather than through other ways.
And what are the kind of tools they should be employing to assess the situation they're in?
Well, I think it's primarily going to be tools which are based on the cash flows rather than present values, or in addition to present values. So looking at things like, say, a run-off solvency statistic, looking at the likelihood that the asset cash flows will outlast the liability cash flows. That's what we think one of the primary statistics they should be focusing on is.
Can this be done using the traditional risk measure tools that have been used in the past?
It can be done alongside them. I mean, it's not the case that this sort of cash flow based measure should cause every other measure to be ignored. I mean, pension schemes have many reasons they need to focus on short-term measures of solvency, a value of assets versus a value of liabilities. Those things are still relevant in many situations. But when the trustees are trying to focus on the likelihood that the assets will outlast the liabilities, it does make sense to have a statistic which is designed to do exactly that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really important point. One of the things we found straight away when we started looking at the probability of meeting all the pensions was that clearly a big factor determining that is the funding level today. Not surprisingly, the amount of assets that a pension scheme has is a huge determinant of its likelihood of paying all the pensions. So in that sense, the funding ratio, the deficit, they're still very relevant measures. But I think we can enhance the view that we have on it with these other lenses.
You're not asking them to do anything particularly different, but change is quite difficult within schemes. How would they convince their existing advisors that the process should be augmented or enhanced to be able to achieve this?
I think a lot of that's going to be driven by the role of the trustees and what it is trustees are there for. In the past, trustees had a very wide range of duties and a very wide range of issues that they'd be focused on. These days, one of the key things that trustees need to be focused on is whether there is going to be sufficient money to pay the benefits as they fall due. So that's the main raison d'etre for being a trustee, making sure there's enough money to pay the benefits. And if they focus on that question and they ask themselves, can we determine that? That should lead them towards a cash flow type measure.